Hey guys, Samuel Larsen here from growgurus.com, and we all know when it comes to websites, quicker is better. Here are some statistics to back up this claim. Now let's jump into this. If you haven't already subscribed, by the way, subscribe. We are going to have a lot of SEO content as well as site speed optimization content coming up. But let's jump into this one. So first of all, you want to think of page speed affecting multiple different dimensions, not just your conversion rate, but it has an impact on all of those things. And then it kind of like bit by bit eats up in your revenue, your profits, and your success in business as well as an e-commerce merchant. So first of all, once people come to the page, they obviously need to load the site. Now, if the site is slow, there's a way higher of a probability for them to bounce. And we see this behavior a lot where people either leave quickly or they stay long. And if they leave quickly, a lot of time it might be a page speed issue. So in this kind of case, you can count this and you can input your own revenues and profits into this one and see what the impact is. Now, you might not be able to do much about this in terms of having your page load in less than 3 seconds. Most e-commerce store pages take longer than 3 seconds, understandably, to load. But if you compare 3 seconds and 5 seconds, you already start to have a huge difference here in terms of how often people bounce. After 5 seconds, actually doesn't matter that much. These are the patient people that are willing to wait for it. Now, consider this scenario though. You have just bought a visitor to your store, and now a significant amount of them are going to bounce if it's not a quick store. And obviously, you're going to have to buy more to get a real visitor on your store if your store is slow. So this matters a lot, and that the initial impression is huge. Not only on the initial impression, but of course, people also need to go through several pages before they can even buy. So before the thank you page, there are 5 to 7 pages in between that first impression and purchase. You are going to have to nail your page speed times. Otherwise, you're not only going to suffer bounce rates, but also high exit rates in the future pages. Let's move on to the next one. Very similar to the last graphic, but it's interesting to see here that the bounce rate and page views are also quite correlated with the page load time. So here you can see how the bounce rate goes up as the page becomes slower and slower. And we see a similar thing here after 8 or so seconds. It really doesn't matter all that much, as long as it's not way longer than 16. But yeah, that's where you get the patient people. And here early, everyone understands that websites take a while to load. So that it's not a huge effect on bounce rate in these statistics. These differ a little bit, to be honest, with the previous one. But you can also see the number of page views, how that is helped with the quick loading sites. To be honest, this part of the red graph is a little bit more difficult to explain, as people load more pages with the longer the load time is and very low seconds. But it can also be a little bit of a statistical anomaly. So I wouldn't focus that much on that. You're unlikely to get your page down to 1 or 2 seconds anyway, so you can more or less ignore that. But just think of a store and one of those like very long shopping experiences where you are looking to go through multiple products, different categories, and how that starts to be very painful once everything loads and loads and loads. So good to keep that in mind in terms of your website speed as well, and thinking of investing into that with this in mind. Now, so far, we have talked about bounce rates and page views, which relates to the page load times. Let's shift gears here. Let's talk money. Let's talk conversions. So here we have statistics about the conversion rate and the page load times, how this affects in this particular scenario. What's striking here is that you have half the conversion rate at 4.2 seconds compared to 2.4 seconds. Now, I don't know the methodology of this study in particular. Could be that better sites in general also have faster load times, so it impacts there. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem here. But in any case, if you have a fast loading site, you can think of yourself as being more of an e-commerce elite merchant rather than an average Shopify seller who has just the average page load times. You'll see this in successful stores like Amazon, Walmart. They're pretty lightning speed quick. So that's for a reason. And people really like those stores, even though they aren't visually appealing for many people. They're still very functional and easy to shop. So they fulfill their purpose of enabling people to do it. All right, couple more statistics to go. These ones are a little bit more in-depth. I chose these ones to be on the latter half of the video because these are also more of a summary statistics. So we have covered bounce rates, how many pages people view, and then the conversion rate in this particular scenario. And let's go over some of these a bit more in detail. So if you follow my mouse here, we already covered this statistic. 1 in 4 people will abandon a website if it takes longer than 4 seconds to load. All right. Now a couple of other things here. First impressions. You have 5 seconds to engage a customer before they leave your website. That is actually a statistic. So you have these 5-second tests that you can run. If you just show your site for 5 seconds, can a person realize like what it's about? Is it clear? And of course, if 4 of those 5 seconds are taken by load time, then people probably don't have any idea. And that will hurt with clarity and understanding of what they should do next. So that's a pretty bad impression to begin with. And if you think of this here, it has a direct impact on the customer's frustration and decrease in engagement. So what you need in order to sell people is you need your products to be viewed and you need your copy to be read in general. So if people are not engaged to the site itself, if they're getting frustrated right away, you will not give your products and your pitch a chance to succeed. People will already be skeptical, tired, frustrated, and kind of like had it, ready to move somewhere else. So not great, but think of that also. 46% of users will not return to a poorly performing website. Now, with e-commerce, maybe you are just a dropshipper looking to make a single sale. However, if you're looking to build a brand, something that lasts, you definitely want return customers. If you're splitting half of your customers to not come back, you have big problems. Like the valuation of your business will be like pretty much completely worthless with that. So maybe you'll like have your ad sets and email leads, but like that's pretty much it. Like you will not have any kind of returning customer base to value your business. So in this kind of case, for example, according to statistics, a 1 second delay in load time means a 7% loss in conversions. Assuming that's true, you can make a pretty significant impact with just 1 second. And usually when you see this kind of conversion uplift, that might mean that you're able to scale your traffic 50%. So if you're currently having 1,000 visitors a day, 7% improvement in conversion often means that now you can have 1,500 visitors a day because you're just able to monetize that traffic so much better. And that's according to the same profit. So your profit would stay same in that scenario at the front end. And then you have a lot more backend customers to profit from. But that's for the future. There's a lot of interesting case studies here from real companies. So Mozilla did pretty good. There's also a famous Amazon case study. So how Amazon website speeds increase the conversion. And that's a pretty good one because they have so much data on it. And they are also open about this because it's a public company. So they kind of have to be. Many private ones, not so open about it. And many of them are probably a little bit humiliated by their page speed as well. So they try to keep it a secret. I have one more statistic to show you. Before I do that though, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You obviously like this stuff. Since you watched this far, we have a ton of great content coming up. And like the video if you do. Any questions? Let them roll in the comment section down below. But without further ado, next one. So page speeds and user behavior. So this is a nice wrap up for the first and second one as well. So you have a very linear progression here with the page load times in this statistic. But just compare the number 3 and number 7. So page load times with the 3 seconds versus the 7 seconds. So 20% difference. Now, with the 3 second site speed, you can essentially have 20% more visitors to your store that are actually engaging with your content, following to the next page, etc. Huge difference in terms of how much profit you're able to be generating with that scenario compared to the 7 second one. And then also, once people engage, they tend to visit more pages. So number of page viewed by page speed, big differences here. Also, keep in mind that 5 to 7 pages I mentioned earlier. So if your page load time is less than that, there's a very good chance that people will not have the patience to go all the way to checkout and get to that thank you page where you actually make your money. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. So that's it. Some page speed statistics that I wanted to share. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you want help with your Shopify store, if you're already generating 6 figures minimum, make sure to go to growgrowth.com/apply. Let's take a look at where you are and see if we can help you, how we might be able to help you, and what the plan would be. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.